wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. We welcome you back into our YouTube and Facebook live feeds, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt for the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour. We're always happy to be here with you, celebrating where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And like I said before, all of these channels inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, if you haven't linked up with our channels, they are free to connect to, and we suggest that you do, and do that this morning while you're thinking of it. Find us on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. You can also find us by going to WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and tuning in Monday through Friday live from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also bookmark and subscribe to the website for all of our content there for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And, of course, you can also find us on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT. So however you're connecting with the show, thank you for doing that with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and beyond that, when you are going back and listening to the show or going back to something you missed or a favorite part that you had or whatever it may be. I always appreciate people coming back, bookmarking it, sharing it, saving it, everything that you do, subscribing to all of our awesome channels, and definitely suggest you do that. You can find us on pretty much all of those channels that you know so very well when it comes to podcasting and what we get to do around the world: Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you'll be able to find us on any one of those outlets and just bookmark it, save it, keep it, love it, subscribe to it, follow it, whatever it calls to do on that specific outlet. Make sure that you do that, because we definitely appreciate the support, and the more support the better, the more support the merrier. So thank you for your connection with us on all of our outlets. You can also ask Alexa and your Google Home devices to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they'll do that for you as well. So that's also pretty cool there, that we got a little voice on command opportunities to connect with you through Alexa and Google. So, and Alexa obviously being Amazon. So really cool to be able to do that. And like I said, we're here in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the awesome people at the Wildcat Sports Pub. NFL Week 10, 2022-23 season is upon us, folks. So we are here to have the conversations and to discuss your team, as well as discuss the overall world of fantasy football. So if you have a question, send it in. Let us know what your question is. So definitely make sure you do that. The sooner the better. So while you're getting in here, getting comfortable, hopefully getting your Cafe Kubal, sitting down and finding a nice spot at work or in the studio or at home, or maybe you're jogging, maybe you're running around with the kids, whatever you're doing, we appreciate you being a part of the broadcast, and however we can help, definitely look forward to doing that. So make sure you send out your questions to us, and we'll be happy to answer those questions in the order that they come in. So definitely appreciate that here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. So with that being said, we have a matchup coming up here Thursday that we have to get into. It's crazy to think that, how fast this season goes. It's like NFL Week 1, and then I'm like, oh, it's Week 3, 4. Now it's Week 10. We're in the double-digit weeks for the NFL right now. There's 18 weeks now, 17 regular season games. So the world's gotten a little bit different when it comes to fantasy football. We got that extra week that we can go out there and do our thing, which is fun, right? Adds some more time depending on how your league does its schedule. But I love that. Love having the chance to expand the weeks and expand the conversations and expand the time together. So definitely, I love it. I mean, I would have NFL all season, but I know that guys got to take care of their bodies, and before everything else, I look to the health and safety of the players. A lot of them are friends, and so it's personal to me that health and safety is paramount when we look at this world of football and at any level, really. So I love this sport, and I also just want people to be safe. So it's important to me for a lot of different reasons. With that being said, time to get into Atlanta at Carolina. Well, Atlanta's done some good things, right? Atlanta's been able to make some moves and have some players like Drake London and Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson coming back and whatnot get involved. A little bit of that Kyle Pitts love as well. So there's been some good things that have happened with the Atlanta Falcons. The Carolina Panthers, on the other side, they've been all over the place. They got about 15 different quarterbacks on the roster, it feels like, and they've been trying to figure it out. They're 10 weeks into the season, trying to still figure it out, which is frustrating for fans, I can only imagine, but that's where we are. That's where things have hit right now, and it seems like Carolina's, they don't have their best player anymore, and why don't they have their best player anymore? Well, because they let him go to San Francisco, and he immediately scored in San Francisco, and it just wasn't working out. It wasn't fitting. And you'll see teams do that, right? You'll see teams kind of say, okay, you know what? We're not figuring it out. Let's not punish our superstar. And in the past, I feel like they would have held on to the superstar. Like, all right, you know what? We're losing, but this guy sells tickets or this lady sells tickets. We have this bell cow, and we're going to run this into the ground no matter how long it takes. And then there's other situations where in this one with Christian McCaffrey, it was like, hey, you know what? Let's let him go. Let's let him move on. It's not working here. And, now he'll have an opportunity to be successful, and hopefully they'll have an opportunity to be successful. But Carolina's got to be planning toward the future, right? It's a giant cluster right now, and the question is, where do they go from here? Well, they do have a home matchup on Thursday night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time on Prime Video for those of you that like to delete your cable and then be forced to buy other channels. And I don't understand why they got to make the world so difficult. I understand everybody's looking for a piece of the pie. Everyone's trying to make some money, this, that, and whatever. But at the end of the day, the consumer is the one that always suffers. And some of us don't want to have to buy 19 different apps to watch an entire NFL season. So, DirecTV and having the games that way seems to make the most sense for most people, because if you don't and you get rid of your cable, you're just kind of running around trying to figure out how you're going to get it. The great thing about all this that I'm talking about is that the Wildcat Sports Pub has all of the games, and those games are available to you every single week. So you can just go to the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, and watch all the games there. For Atlanta's side of things, Cordero Patterson coming back onto the team leaves some question marks for Tyler Algier. Now, I said obviously him being a rookie, I thought he was going to take over and do some things here, eventually get the starting job for the future of the Falcons. But we know that as of right now, they are sharing time, him and Cordero Patterson. Algier had 10 carries, Cordero had 13. Algier did more with less, 10 carries, 99 yards. 9.9 yards a carry. Apparently wanted to make a statement when Cordero came back, like, hey, yeah, it's great that Cordero's here, but let's remember who your guy's been the last few weeks, and let me show you. Cordero Patterson, 13 carries, 44 yards, but he had the 2 touchdowns. So you got the end zone scores by Patterson. You got the yards from Tyler Algier. Cordero Patterson caught a pass, and so did Tyler. So they both got a pass here. Not a lot of pass-happy things going on in Atlanta. Kyle Pitts had 2 catches on 7 targets. Drake London had 3 catches on 7 targets. Neither one of them scored last week, and they both had under 30 yards receiving. Pitts with 27, London with 23. So, for this game against Carolina, I do like Drake London and Kyle Pitts because they're playing Carolina. Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier, how do you leave either one of them off? If Cordero's scoring, getting into the end zone, in reality, he's going to get you fantasy points. But if Algier is getting you 99 yards on the ground and almost 10 yards a carry, he's playing Carolina now. So bodes well for all of them. P.J. Walker might be back as a starter right now. Dante Foreman, a guy to look at putting out there maybe as a low-end 2, high-end 3, probably a high-end 3. Flex him out as one of your running backs this week, playing Atlanta because I don't trust their defense. DJ Moore, Terrace Marshall, where do you go from here? The question mark of, DJ, I say it every single week, but it really is frustrating, and it's why I typically don't draft him. And then here I am drafting him going, you know what, I'll give him a shot. And it's been wildly inconsistent. And so, him and Terry McLaurin, 1,000-yard receivers, but Terry, you'll look at it from week to week and go, he helped me, he helped me, he helped me. You know, you look at DJ Moore and it's like, did he play? I think no, he didn't help me that week. Did he help me that week? Oh, maybe. Oh, he had that week. Oh, and then he had that week. And so he had 2 good weeks in 7 weeks. That's what it feels like with DJ Moore. This past week, 2 catches, 6 targets, 24 yards. Terrence Marshall got in the end zone, a touchdown on 3 receptions, one of them being a touchdown, 53 yards. So Terrence Marshall, if you want to flex somebody out in a deep league, maybe you look at that and DJ Moore. But I don't see them as more than a lower flex, just because the inconsistencies and the quarterback situation in Atlanta that I think will eventually go to Desmond Ridder. It's still with Marcus Mariota, but it seems like the running game is the way to go, and there's a lot of value in Atlanta's running game, and I don't know why I went back and forth here with these two. Atlanta's got a lot of value in their running game. They also have value in their passing game. I don't know why I just bonded the two of them. Carolina, Marcus Mariota is still the guy. I think Desmond Ridder will be the future in a year or two this season, maybe after next season or maybe next season. But for Carolina, the question marks at quarterback is what I was getting to, and it's just all over the place. And when DJ Moore has a quarterback that maybe is there for a bunch of weeks, it still doesn't show consistency. It's good value at the end of the year, but it's not great value from week to week. And we're trying to win week to week, right? You know, at the end of the season, you see he has 1,100 yards. Doesn't mean anything to you if he didn't help you win any of your fantasy games. So DJ Moore is a lower flex, and so is Terrence Marshall Jr. On the other side, Atlanta's got it all. Cordero Patterson, Tyler Algier, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, all worth the play in this game. And if you got guys off or on bye, this might be a good week for Marcus Mariota because he's playing Carolina's defense, but I still have him as a quarterback too. Next game we have up here to start off Sunday, we have Seattle at Tampa Bay. That game is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that is going to be a very unique game, this Seattle Seahawks at Tampa Bay matchup that we're going to get to see this week. I'm very excited about it. 9:30 a.m., so make sure you set your rosters. This is going to be in Germany. First time the NFL has ever played a regular season game in Germany. And it's going to be in Munich. So I remember the movie Munich that starred Eric Bana, I believe. So Seattle at Tampa Bay, that's who we have on the docket right now for the first game on Sunday. Make sure you set your lineup Saturday night, folks. Do not forget these London and Germany and overseas games. They make you wait. You know, you wake up with that, that I didn't do my homework face. And so, thank God. So make sure that you set your lineup beforehand, just so you make sure that you have it in for this week. And I don't want anybody to miss out and screw up in that sense when you're like, I should have had that guy going, but I forgot that they were playing in the morning. Well, now I told you, so you have no excuse. Geno Smith, listen, I had him fill in for me last week, picked him up, threw him out there. One of my guys was on bye, and, Geno, I think he got me 42 points this past week. So, Geno Smith, he's playing Tampa Bay. Seattle's 6-3. Tampa Bay is just ugly right now. They're 4-5. They're almost back to 500. I got a feeling that Brady's going to make a run because that's what he does. But Geno Smith in this last game, 26-34, 275, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, ran the ball 6 times for 38 yards, 6.3 yards carry. Not too shabby for the man. Noah Fant, who came over in that trade for Russ the Bus Wilson, had the most yards on the team, 96 yards, 5 catches on 6 targets for the tight end. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf scored again. So I don't mind Geno Smith as a low-end one, high-end two. When you look at the bye weeks this week, if you have Joe Burrow off or Mac Jones or Zach Wilson or Lamar Jackson, probably more likely if you have Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow off. If you have Zach Wilson, I'd feel kind of bad for you right now. And not that he's not not that he didn't do good things against Buffalo Bills, just talking about fantasy. And the same thing with Mac Jones. They're not the guys that are going to be your fantasy starters, I would imagine. Shouldn't be, but Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson, they are. So, I think this is not a bad week for Geno Smith. Low end 1, high end 2 at quarterback. Kenneth Walker III, told you about him. Got to play him. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, doing better than I thought they would do under this Geno Smith offense. It's doing better, so I like that too. And I would definitely put them in as a play. Noah Fant, little sneaky tight end. I'd have him as a lower end 1 tight end, but maybe this week. Tom Brady on the other side of it. The Brady bunch have, like I said, they've had a little bit of an awkward year, but it seems like now that his divorce has gone through, and, it must be nice to live in Florida, because when I went through my divorce, it took 5 billion years to just, it wasn't. It was almost a year, but it was such a long process for no reason. We had like nothing to divvy up. It was a very simple process. She didn't really want to be an adult. I wanted to be done with it. I don't understand why it took 11 months. Down in Florida, you could literally on Monday say you want to get divorced, and by Thursday, you're a new person. So, Tom Brady, good for you, man. It seems like post-divorce that took 15 seconds in the great state of Florida, you seem to be doing all right. I hope you all are. With all seriousness, I do hope the best for your family, because I know it's not an easy thing to have to go through. So, hoping for the best for Giselle, Tom, and company, and their kids, and God bless to them all. So, Tom Brady, his numbers are not great. 280 yards is all right, but 36 of 58, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Low-scoring games for Tampa this year. Just not looking wonderful. The ball's going to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but it's also kind of going a little bit all over the place. And you look at Tampa's scores this season, they had 19 points, 20 points, 12, 31 against the Chiefs. That was a big game. Played up for the Pat Mahomes game. 21, 18, 3, 22, and 16. So right around that 20 range, not great for fantasy and playing Seattle. So I got Tom Brady as a quarterback too. Rachaad White and Leonard Fournette both got involved in this offense. And Rachaad White's another one of those rookie running backs I said you got to look out for and potentially put out there. I like Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White because they're sharing time as flex guys. I got them as running back 3s, just not in your starting top 2 there. I flex out like the 3 and the 4, so that's where I got them. And then Mike Evans, and when I say I flex out the 3 and the 4, the way that we work is we have 1 team quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, defense, kicker, and then 2 flex that could be running back, tight end, or wide receiver. So when I say 3 or 4, that's where I'm putting them. I'm not putting Leonard Fournette or Rachaad White as my dominant top 2 running backs. I'm putting them in the flex position. So that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I would play them both. Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White, I'd flex those guys out. So a lot of value here. A lot of value in the backfield and at wide receiver, a little bit at quarterback as well. And my issue with putting Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White in that area and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Listen, Chris Godwin, these guys will get the yards. That's why I'm okay in fantasy in that respect. But in the rushing attack, there's not a lot going home. Greg said, Tampa not scoring touchdowns, really that simple. Brady throws for yardage, no end zone scores to show for it. Yeah, so that's the thing is, if you're in a league like mine where every 10 yards you're going to get a point and this and that, well, that can be good, right? In PPR leagues, that could be good for Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. But that's the point that Greg brought up. Here's the point I was going off. Like Leonard Fournette, Rachaad White, they're there, but they're flex players because there's not enough going on in this offense. It's too low scoring for me to sit here and go, yeah, that's your fantasy week. I think there's value on both sides, but I think that Seattle has more of the value in the end zone. Minnesota at Buffalo. This is going to be an interesting game. Minnesota is having an incredible season that has been overshadowed by the Philadelphia Eagles still being undefeated. And then on the other side of it, Buffalo is in a danger zone right now. Buffalo was commanding their division, right? Now all of a sudden, and I know Bills fans don't want me to talk about this, but it's true, the situation is crazy in the AFC East. Buffalo barely hanging on to first place in the division. They're 6-2. The Jets are 6-3, who just beat them. The Dolphins are 6-3, who also beat them. And the Patriots are 5-4. Everybody's above 500, and the Jets and the Dolphins have wins over Buffalo, and they have as many overall wins as Buffalo. So the benefit that Buffalo has right now, they played one last week, so they have one less loss. If they were 6-3 right now, this thing could flip, take Buffalo out of first place, put them in third place. It's crazy. And now they have to welcome in Minnesota, who's 7-1 this season. Insane. Dalvin Cook worth the play in the game. Justin Jefferson as well. Adam Thielen is a lower flex. He's kind of dipped off here in fantasy. TJ Hawkinson, not a bad bet for you here in a game that might be, banging bodies, bruising and whatnot. Might behoove you to put TJ Hawkinson out there for the Minnesota Vikings, the former Detroit Lion. Looking at the last game that they gutted out against the Commanders 20-17. In that game, Delvin Cook did not score. He had 47 yards on the ground, 2.8 yards a carry, not great. Justin Jefferson's numbers were really good, 115 yards, 13 targets, 7 catches, and a touchdown. Hawkinson was second on the team, and he caught all 9 balls thrown his way for 70 yards. So I would say Hawkinson and Jefferson. Thielen, lower flex here, coming off a game, 3 catches, 67 yards. Not bad. If you get a point for every 10 yards, well, that's 6 points in my league. And then you get the 3 catches in the PPR, so then that's 9 points from Adam Thielen. So not as much, but, almost a double-digit score. That's why I put him as a lower flex for you. For Buffalo, Josh Allen, man, you got to watch this. He's questionable with his injury currently right now. God willing, he is able to go. This is a danger zone that they could very well be 6-3 if Josh Allen is not 100%. They could be 6-3, and all of a sudden this division could be lost to Buffalo, and they'll be left chasing, not circling the wagons, but trying to catch up on the Oregon Trail, so to speak. So, in this matchup, I would look maybe a little bit more to Devin Singletary, who I have as because of the quarterback situation, Josh Allen maybe not being 100%. I have Singletary as a running back 3. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are worth the play. Dawson Knox gets relegated to a tight end 2 this week for me. Next one up, we have Detroit at Chi-Town. Detroit's been playing these games that look like they're going to be their Thanksgiving game, but it's not. So Detroit at Chicago. We'll get into this. Chicago. But Chicago. I don't know what that is. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I am. So, but Detroit at Chicago, it's just, man, yesterday was a long day, man. It was a long day. So, Detroit got on the winning side of things by beating the Packers in a friggin' ugly game. What did I tell you? Aaron Rodgers will never win another Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. That is just a not good situation. Overall, he took way too much money. They lost their top guy. They can't friggin' score. 15-9. They lose to Detroit on the road. The Packers just looking fugly right now. And on the other side of it, Jamal Williams, I'm going to mention him this week because he was good again. 81 yards on the ground, 24 carries. DeAndre Swift had 2 carries for 10 yards. Swift also caught 3 balls. Jamal Williams did not catch any, but had 81 yards on the ground. Neither one of them scored, but were able to get there. The touchdowns went to James Mitchell and Sean Zylstra. Believe it or not. Let me know if you know those names. Raise it. Okay. I love when I ask people to raise their hands and they're listening, and I obviously can't see you, but you raised your hand and then you looked around and said, Dan got me again. That's right, baby. Dang it. Got me again. Because when you ask somebody to raise their hand, and that's why Simon Says works as a game so much, because when you ask someone to raise their hand, people feel compelled to do it, even though you can't see them, and even if Simon didn't tell you to. So, on Detroit's side of things, Jamal Williams is worth the play. That's pretty much it. I'm on Ross St. Brown, wide receiver 3, I'll say. And DeAndre Swift, I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, I feel like yet another running back they drafted that didn't pan out. A la Amir Abdullah and so on and so forth. On the other side for Chicago, I don't recommend that this is your quarterback, but if you play 2 quarterbacks in your league, Justin Fields is a QB2, not a bad play for you. If you have Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, or you have Joe Burrow and Justin Fields, let me know what you have or what's out there in free agency and the waiver wire. But we know that Justin can run, so there's some good to that. It's just the inconsistency of the passing game this season has been really, really upsetting. Yeah, Greg, I know I made your week this week by saying Jamal Williams. And Greg's like, don't talk dirty to me. So, Jamal Williams. And people are like, what? Dan's saying Jamal Williams? Say word. So, Miami, listen, I never had anything against him personally. There's no personal attacks here on this show ever, right? That's not who I am. It's not what I'm about. I didn't see his fantasy value in Green Bay. I didn't see why Detroit would see that there wasn't that. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say it like that. Detroit's trying to win games in reality. But I didn't see fantasy-wise his value in Green Bay being high, and I thought it was dwindling. And then when he went to Detroit, I was like, okay, well, he's behind this rookie DeAndre Swift that's supposed to be the guy. But now Jamal Williams is proving that he's the number one back even when DeAndre's healthy. And, I mean, I got to give credit where credit's due. The Miami Dolphins are kicking some tail. I told you, I have a feeling that they would have been undefeated if Tua was still out there. During those games that he wasn't. They're 6-3. They just staved off Chicago, who finally figured out how to score the dang ball. Why? Because Justin Fields was your leading quarterback and running back. Justin Fields, 15 carries, 178 yards, and a touchdown. Apparently somebody on the offensive group there, your coordinator and team, said, hey, we have a running quarterback, and we're not winning games, and our offense has been stagnant. Why doesn't this guy run 5 billion times, right? Why the heck not put him out there? David Montgomery still got 14 carries, one less than Justin Fields, but he only got 36 yards. The difference between 178 to 36 yards, 11.9 yards a carry to 2.6, and only one less carry, so kind of crazy there. Darnell Mooney scored, Cole Kmet scored twice. Chase Claypool, maybe he's opening up the offense and getting some people to key in on him. They got in N'Keal Harry, who was drafted by the Patriots. You got Chase Claypool, who was drafted by the Steelers. So not bad here to maybe open up the offense for Chicago a little bit. And, they're playing Detroit. So in this case, I like Justin Fields in this game. Maybe I like him even more. I have him as a QB2 because unless you're playing him in place of Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson that's off, I can't sit here and say, yeah, I'm going to put him over this guy and this guy. But there are certain players that I would put him over. And I think Justin Fields' value is high, and I said it this past week because he can run the ball. David Montgomery, I'd put him out there against Chi-Town as well. Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet, they're not against Chi-Town, against Detroit. And Chase Claypool, I would wait on that. He might be a good flex. Maybe this is his week. He's playing Detroit. When you're playing Detroit, you can have a big game. So, Jamal Williams on Detroit's side, but on Chicago's side, Justin Fields finally running that rock and letting him do his thing. So I like that. David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, a lot of value, maybe a little bit for Chase Claypool. Greg said he's on the DT First Team Fantasy League Total Disrespect team. Not anymore. Guys can gain respect, right? Trades happen. Free agency, movement, waiver wire. Jamal Williams, he's doing a good job. Somebody tell me why Detroit's depth chart, though, on some of these places still have DeAndre Swift as the number one guy. Riddle me that, Greg. Riddle me that. Denver, is it like the trickery of Bill Belichick, who always said that 13 people were injured every year, or every week on the injury report, and said Tom Brady was on it for 6 weeks, and then Tom Brady goes out and throws 5 billion touchdowns for 1,000,000 yards and has a great time. We live in a society right now when I'm facetious, and when people don't know that word because they don't look things up anymore. Well, I guess you can Google everything and not have to be intelligent, but facetious means sarcastic, and sarcastic means that what I'm saying is not what I'm saying. And I feel like we live in a society when I say this guy's throwing for 1,000,000 yards, some idiot out there is going to tweet me or write a Facebook's gotten like Twitter lately. And some people might tell me it's just, they've always been the same. But, someone will Facebook you. That's not 1,000,000 yards, Dan. Okay, it's 1,272. Get it right. Well, I was being facetious. Well, you need to apologize to me because it offended me that you didn't put the... Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth, you keyboard idiots. Just shut up. So that's what I have to say. To the trolls of the internet, go guard your bridge and leave us alone. So Denver at Tennessee, and that's my response. So Greg, you want to know who's on my fantasy league of I don't care? Trolls. That's who's on my thing. Not Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams is not on the list. Denver at Tennessee. This is a little bit of an enticing game for me because it's one of those how can Denver win it? But then Tennessee started off slow, and then they got hot, and they're doing okay. But is Denver starting to click, right? Are they starting to find some things? They just got a victory over Jacksonville overseas, and then they had a week off. They've had some time to relax coming off of that victory that ended their losing streak, their 4-game skid. So, in that game against Jacksonville that I don't want to talk about, but I will. 18 completions on on 30 attempts, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Latavius Murray, my dude from Onondaga County, what's up, man? He got a tutty in that game against Jacksonville, and Melvin Gordon III also got a touchdown in that game, as we know that Javonte Williams is out for the year. Get better, man. Jerry Jeudy got a touchdown in the game, 6 catches for 63 yards. I really didn't see Cortland Sutton targeted 4 times, caught one of those balls for 13 yards. So Denver's doing some good things. On the other side of it, for the only 10 I see, I picked up Dontrell Hilliard because, listen, he is the future, but he's also kind of the now. And I said if you looked at his numbers when I was talking about the draft and Dontrell Hilliard and whatnot, I had made mention of Hilliard a few months back and said, listen, this guy is really not the guy that you can like just keep on your bench and be like, you'll play in 3 years. So they are playing Hilliard. They're giving him some carries. They're getting him involved in the passing game, and I like it. So there's been, I mean, he had a quiet week this past week, but hasn't been terrible. Malik Willis has been your QB, and that could be a rough one. Now, they only lost to the Kansas City Chiefs by 3 because that defense showed up. So listen, this is what makes for an interesting game with the Tennessee Titans, because Ryan Tannehill is questionable in this game. So if he's unable to go, we shall see. But on Denver's side of it, I would say Russ the Bus is a quarterback 2. He's playing up against this Tennessee defense that held down Pat Mahomes. So I would say your value is in flexing out Latavius Murray or Melvin Gordon. Jerry Jeudy, you could show him some love as a low-end 2, high-end 3 receiver. Cortland Sutton would be a wide receiver 4 probably right now because it just hasn't been consistent. And then on the other side for Tennessee, Derrick Henry is a yes. Dontrell Hilliard is a lower flex, probably a running back 4, but still a guy that you should grab and stash. Next one we have coming up here is going to be Jacksonville at Kansas City, a game that hopefully the defense that showed up at the beginning of the season and then kind of looked like they were disappearing, and then showed up again this past week when they kicked some tail and shut out their opponent, the Raiders, 17-0 in the second half. Say word, are the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we'll see this. Who's Tennessee's quarterback this week? As of right now, Greg, it's Malik Willis, but ankle injury to Ryan Tannehill, it's still up there. That's why we do the show early. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to get in touch with me, depending on when the game is. So make sure if you're watching this video after it's already gone live, then reply to the video directly. YouTube.com/wakeupcalldt, Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, or you can private message me on Facebook at wakeupcalldt, Twitter at calldt, or Instagram at wakeupcall_dt. However I may help you, I'm here all week, so make sure that you get in touch. Kansas City, Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, man, numbers aren't bad, right? He's going out there doing some things, slinging the ball around, got some more time to throw it this past week, and that can never go understated. And Trevor Lawrence, this past one, granted they're playing the Raiders, who are 2-6 this year, and Jacksonville's 3-6. Lawrence, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, no interception, nothing crazy to write home about, but he has spread the ball out. Marvin Jones Jr., Zay Jones, Christian Kirk getting involved, Travis Etienne getting involved. I like that too. So, there's something to be said about that. I mean, he is moving the ball around and doing some good things there. So I do like what's going down in that situation. Yeah, and Chase Edmonds with the Denver Broncos, what does that do? I think Latavius Murray, he's still, I think, bringing him in, there's a reason why you bring him in. Doug Marrone could have had him, and he didn't. And then Nate Hackett worked for Doug Marrone at Syracuse when Doug Marrone arguably could have had him, according to George O'Leary, when he was telling me that Latavius was considering transferring back home from UCF after his freshman season. So, it's like Nate Hackett under Doug Marrone, if Doug had taken Latavius or thought that it was real, because allegedly I heard that he thought it was a joke. If he took Latavius, then Nate would have been able to coach him. So it's funny how all these years later, Nate has his own team in the NFL, and he takes Latavius. So I think Latavius and Melvin Gordon are the guys right now. I think Chase Edmonds is there for an insurance policy. So we'll see. I don't like Chase Edmonds there. I feel like he deserves better than that. This man's been a starter, and, think about it. If they had kept Chase in Arizona, he could have been starting a bunch of weeks with James Conner not being 100% recently here. So instead of Eno Benjamin and Arizona's had, what, 3-4 running backs a week at times that have been injured. So, I think the Chase Edmonds deal would have been better served for him to stay in Arizona for everybody involved. Jacksonville, though, in this game, I have Trevor as a quarterback 2. He's been putting up some good numbers, but got him as quarterback 2. He is spreading the ball out. Christian Kirk is worth the play. Zay Jones is too. Marvin Jones is inconsistent in fantasy, so I'd put him as a flex wide receiver 4. Evan Engram, not bad. I would say low end 1, high end 2 in the grand scheme of things. When I go back and look at it, he only had 1 catch in this last. So I'd probably say a tight end 2 because of that inconsistency. You got to play Travis Etienne. I shouldn't have to tell you that. The man balled the frick out and just did an incredible job. 3 straight games of at least 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. So good stuff for him in Jacksonville history. On the other side of it for Kansas City, Pat Mahomes is a yes for me, obviously. And Travis Kelce, those are big time. Yeah, yes. So you definitely, so you have to put them out there. I'm just hearing impressions in my head from movies that I've watched, and they're all coming out today. Don't worry, you don't have to call the doctor. Clyde Edwards-Helaire only had 4 carries. Isaiah Pacheco had 5, and they both got 5 yards. 1.3 yards a carry for Clyde, and 1 for Isaiah. Pat Mahomes was your leading rusher, 6 carries, 63 yards, and a touchdown. Kelce and Juju Smith. Juju caught 10 balls in that game against Tennessee. So even though that defense was good, kept the score low, still allowed a bunch of catches to Juju and to Travis Kelce. So, I would say in this game against Jacksonville, I like Juju, and I wouldn't put him as a 1, maybe a 2. And then Travis Kelce for sure, and Pat Mahomes. The rushing attack, not really. I think Mahomes is going to throw it all over the field. So we'll look to see that in this matchup. Next game we have up here in the Fantasy Football Hour, powered by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Appreciate them so very much. And you can get in touch with the Wildcat by going out 7 days a week and dining in for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Drink responsibly. Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And, of course, you can call them for Takeout Delivery, 315-487-2222. Next one we have up here, we have Cleveland at Miami. So, Miami is 6-3 right now, and I think they're going to be 7-3 after this game. Cleveland's like that team that you're just like, every time you think in your head, this is probably an easy win for whoever's playing Cleveland, then it's not. So, that's the one thing that leaves me sitting here going, can I really say that it's going to be a definite? No, you can never say there's going to be a definite, but Miami's playing some good ball. And let's see, Adil, I want to say I said your name right. If I didn't say your name right, I apologize. Should I trade Mahomes for Watson, Etienne, and Hawkinson? No. So, no. I appreciate the question, and I would say no. Yeah. Should I trade Mahomes? That's one where you're kind of like, wow, this has got to be a really, really good trade here. But it's like, I guess who's your other quarterback, Adil? Let me know that, and I appreciate the question. Make sure to subscribe while you're here if you haven't already. But yeah, no. The Deshaun Watson thing, it's a hard pass for me. ETN I like. Hawkinson's got some upside for his future in Minnesota, but no on that. Unless your other quarterback is some phenom, I would say no. So let me know who your other quarterback is. But as of right now, I would say a no to that. That's my knee-jerk reaction for a pretty, yeah. That would be a pretty simple reaction from me when it comes to Patty Mahomes. And then, yeah, Greg said Cleveland's going to score points against Miami. Yeah, that's why I said I don't think it's going to be as easy of a game as one would imagine, as well as Miami's playing, because Cleveland's 3-5. In this game, you got to play Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I shouldn't have to tell you, but I will tell you because that's my job and that's what I do. So definitely should put them out there. They just defeated the Bengals 32-13 in a friggin' ugly game for Cincinnati. Cincinnati just had 2 bad weeks in a row. They haven't had a great season. However, they have a better record than Cleveland, believe it or not. So, Cleveland, Nick Chubb, 2 touchdowns, 101 yards in that game against Cincinnati on Monday night. Kareem, they were off last week. Kareem Hunt, 11 carries, 42 yards. Not a lot to write home about, but he's still a guy get out there. Amari Cooper, man, has he gotten out there recently and just shaking up the world of fantasy. Dude's balling out. 131 yards on 5 catches. Are you kidding me? 1 touchdown. Now, granted, it's against Cincinnati, and if you're playing Cincinnati or Carolina, you're probably having a very good offensive day this season. But I do like Amari Cooper in this game, and I'd put him as a 2. Not a 1, but probably a 2. For Miami, you got to play Tua, and I like that. So Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, all yeses for me. And I picked up Jeff Wilson because I had a bunch of guys on bye last week, and I was like, well, I need another running back, and there was really nobody out there. But here's Jeff Wilson Jr., who just got picked up from San Fran in that trade. And I said to myself, you know what? I believe they brought him in for a reason. He's probably going to be the guy. And him and Raheem, or vie to be the guy, and push Raheem Mostert, because if you thought Raheem was your guy, you wouldn't go out and get Jeff Wilson. So, Raheem, Jeff, both had 9 carries in the game. Jeff had more yards, 51 yards on the ground, and Raheem had 26 on the ground, but he did have a touchdown. But Jeff Wilson got a touchdown through the air, 3 catches, 21 yards. So, in this game against Cleveland, I would say Raheem and Jeff, not bad running back 3s for you, if you got a little space for them on your roster. Next one we have up here, we're going to go to Houston at the Giants. And Houston is just awful, right? And I said for years they were winning the AFC South, not because they were great, but because everybody was just worse. And here we are with Houston going up against the Giants. Who do I feel good about? Dameon Pierce. Cut and paste every week. So, it's true. And on the other side of it, Saquon Barkley. Because this is going to be a running back trenches game, right? It'd be pound for pound, blue for blue, bang for bang. That's what I'm seeing in this one. And the New York Giants recently here, the Giants were on a 4-game winning streak, and the Giants started off the season with only 1 loss in 7 games, but they're now 6-2 after a loss to the Seahawks. And looking at their team, obviously Saquon you got to play. Darius Slayton's been holding his own, giving some credit there. Wendell Robinson, some people look at him in a flex position. Some people have asked me, should I trade for him? Should I pick him up? So, in this game against Houston, maybe this is the week to flex out a Wendell Robinson or a Darius Slayton, because they're playing Houston and they're playing at home. So, Houston just lost to the Eagles. And on Houston's side of things, Dameon Pierce in that loss, 5.1 yards a carry, 139 yards, 27 carries. Philip Dorsett, Chris Moore led the way, and it's just been a kind of little bit of everybody in Houston. So I would say Dameon Pierce, period, for Houston. Saquon Barkley, and then flex out Wendell Robinson or Darius Slayton. At this point, I feel a little bit better about Slayton, but either one of those you could look at. Greg said, Peoples-Jones has been very consistent. Decent play this week against a poor Miami secondary. Barkley should go off this week for sure. I do agree with that. Yeah, Peoples-Jones, it's always funny looking at it because it's like the people's champion, right? That's what I think about when I see it. So it's Donovan Peoples-Jones, and he's one of those wide receivers that you have out there for the Cleveland Browns behind Amari Cooper. And Donovan Peoples-Jones this season, he doesn't have a lot going on, but he doesn't have a 100-yard game yet. However, he has had at least 70 yards in the last 3 games. 74 at home against the Patriots, 71 on the road against Baltimore, 81 last week, catching all 4 targets thrown his way against Cincinnati, but that was a horrible defense. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, you're talking about Miami, and the fact that, and Trill Williams, obviously from Syracuse, not back yet, so God bless and be with him. But yeah, Donovan Peoples-Jones, I trust more in Amari Cooper in this. Peoples-Jones, I would say, if you flex him out, wide receiver 4, probably. In a deep league, maybe he's a 3, but that's kind of what I would look at for that. respect. And then next game we have going up here, we have last 1 o'clock game is going to be New Orleans at Pittsburgh. Remember when this used to be Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger and people got up for this game? Now people are like, where the hell are either one of these teams going in the future? But there is a future quarterback in Pittsburgh, right? And Kenny Pickett. So we do know that there is a future for him. And as far as New Orleans goes, they have Taysom Hill. And they're going to ride that wave as they should. And fantasy owners appreciate the riding of this wave. Monday night didn't look too pretty, though. Taysom Hill and Andy Dalton were both involved. Taysom threw one pass. He completed it. Andy Dalton, the former Cincinnati Bengal quarterback, 19 of 29, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a 14-point loss, 27-13, at home against the Ravens on Monday night. Chris Olave continues to impress, though. Juwan Johnson scores again, which continues my thoughts from last season that he's a good tight end, but it's so inconsistent that you want to play him, but you feel like you can't because sometimes he gets it and sometimes he doesn't get the looks. Alvin Kamara only had 9 carries for 30 yards in this game, 3 catches for 32, so he does amount 62 yards. He does help you in PPR a little bit, but not a great week for New Orleans. I would say against Pittsburgh in this game, you still got to play Kamara and Chris Olave. Juwan Johnson, I would, look at this and, maybe tight end 2, but I'd be a little leery of it just because of that inconsistency. I think if he had a quarterback that was consistently throwing his way, we could say, we've seen moments where I think he can be the guy, but they got Adam Trotman and they got a bunch of guys there at tight end, and it seems like they're not willing to say, like, this is going to be the guy. So that's my frustration with the Juwan Johnson factor. If he was getting thrown to 5-6 times a game, then, 7 times a game where it's a different story. Kenny Pickett in this last game, 25 of 38, no touchdowns and an interception, 191 yards. And the backfield, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Jalen Warren led the way, then Kenny Pickett, then Najee Harris, Steven Sims, Marcus Allen, and not the Marcus Allen that you think of from the Raiders and the Chiefs, but Marcus Allen. Pat Freiermuth led the way in receiving. So this is a weird game. Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson as a tight end 2, but I do like grabbing, stashing him. On the other side of it, Najee Harris, I know that the numbers have been really low lately, so I know that that's an issue, but I don't see how you leave him off of your top 3-4 running backs you put out there. I don't think he's a 1 right now, but he's playing New Orleans defense, which I don't trust. And then, Pat Freiermuth, I think he's worth the play as a tight end 1 this week. Deontay Johnson, another guy to look at to put out there for you, 5 catches on 9 targets, and there's no more Chase Claypool, so they might be better for Johnson as well as for Freiermuth. So there is value in both of those guys. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. And let's see here. Dennis has a question for me. Perfect timing. So we're going to get to it before the fast break, Dennis, because it's very timely with the New Orleans Pitt game that I just talked about. So hi back to you. So Dennis says, with Warren getting more time over Najee, should I drop Brian Robinson and pick up Warren instead? Half PPR, 10-man league, need a deep dive advice. Records 4-5, and you're on the playoff bubble. Okay, well, I appreciate the question. Dennis, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you click subscribe while you're here. I appreciate that very much. Jalen Warren, looking at him by the numbers here. Jalen Warren, a rookie out of Oklahoma State. Well, he had 6 carries in this last game for 50 yards, 8.3 yards a carry. They have allowed him to carry the ball all throughout the season. He's had multiple attempts in, let's see here, at this point, 8 games. He's had multiple attempts in the 8 games that they've played. So that's a good thing. 5'8". Shout out to the 5'8"ers out there. I'm a proud 5'8" man. So I do like that. Lower center of gravity. Good stuff. So, yeah, and he's caught the ball out of the backfield. I would probably say, yeah, man, Jalen Warren, I'd probably make that move, drop Brian Robinson. I wouldn't be, throwing Najee Harris in the trash, but I would say that, yeah, I'm okay with that, Dennis, to do that. So I would say pick up Warren, especially this week, playing a team that's not known for their defense. I'd say pick up Warren and drop Robinson, and make sure to subscribe while you're here. So with that being said, we are going to take a step aside for a fast break inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we are bringing you the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub for NFL Week 10, 2022-23. We got some more games to go right after this fast break where sports meets life, and I appreciate the fact that my allergies are so much better in the studio right now thanks to this Namaste at Home candle from Witty Wicks. You can get your candles from Witty Wicks on 190 Township Boulevard in Township 5 in Camillus, New York, in front of Movie Tavern. And if you live out of town, you can go to wittywicks.com.
DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvalite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvalite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. It is the Fantasy Football Power Hour. You know that if it's Wednesday and it's hour number 2, and we're going past hour number 2 today, but between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, every Wednesday on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we bring you the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the wonderful people at the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. You can go there 7 days a week to watch all the games, lunch, dinner, and drinks. Drink responsibly. And, of course, they have a private dining area as well. They have a whole other set, they have a room that can be partitioned off so you can go there for anniversaries, weddings, birthdays, whatever, your team banquet, whatever you have going on as we're coming out of fall sports, going into winter sports. A great place to have your banquet, and call them for your Christmas parties and your holiday parties coming up. They get very jam-packed quickly in their schedule, so you don't want to miss out on this. The Wildcat has only created more awesome experiences and done more things for the community, and they have had a busier and busier schedule because of everything and everybody that wants to get in. So call 315-487-2222 if you got a party coming up that you want to celebrate at the Wildcat. 315-487-2222 to support local, so make sure you do that. Takeout Delivery, same number, and of course, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And right down the road, walking distance from the Wildcat, Witty Wicks. And that is the candle that I always have lit here in the studio. A bunch of different ones that I get to put out here, and I love them so very much. But Nama Stay at Home. This one takes the cake a lot of the time. So make sure you get out to Witty Wicks today, 190 Township Boulevard in Camillus, New York. And you can go to Witty. Send it in while we're talking. Thank you to my questions from Dennis and Adil and Greg and everybody else that's weighed in today. And in general over these weeks, happy to answer your questions. If we don't get to your question while we're live and you have a question, shoot it over to us, but you got to reply to the video itself so I know it and I see it. Or you can direct message me and go to Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, or Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, and I'd be happy to help you there. Speaking of questions, we got one up here. XXX Lex said, hey man, would you do Brady, Dak, or Justin Herbert this week? Good question. Like it, appreciate it. XXX Lex, if you haven't subscribe, make sure you do that while you're here on YouTube. You can all subscribe to our YouTube channel, as many of you have, by going to youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT. So make sure you do that. Your question to me, who am I going with this week? Brady, Dak, or Justin Herbert? Well, Dak is going up against Green Bay, and Green Bay has been an enigma, and Dak's been, this Dallas team's been kind of up and down. So there's that. Tampa Bay is just not scoring points, and they're playing Seattle, and I don't like that. They're also having to go overseas, which adds another element to it. So I'd say not Brady. And then Los Angeles is playing San Fran. We know that Justin Herbert can go to work, right? We know that this man is somebody who throws arguably the best ball in the NFL, or one of the top ones here. 13 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, over 2,200 yards passing already for Herbert this season. And as we take a look at Herbert game by game, recently here up against Atlanta last week, he was 30 of 43, 245, a touchdown and an interception. We're looking at his multiple touchdown games. He has, at this point in the season, 4 games where he's had multiple touchdowns, and then he has 5 games where he's had 1 or less. And the last few games here, he had 1 against Cleveland, none against Denver, 2 against Seattle, and 1 against Atlanta, looking at the last 4 games. So, a little bit of a head scratcher here. You expect a little bit more out of that, but he's been dealing with a lot of injuries to his receivers, so that's an issue as well. On Dallas's side of things, as we take a look at that, Dak Prescott obviously hasn't played a full season this season, coming back from injury, but Dak so far here on the day before Halloween, October 30th, 21 of 27, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Granted, that was against Chicago. So, looking at this week, I would say not Tom Brady. I'd probably say Justin Herbert, and it gives you a little safety net if you're losing during Sunday night time. So I'd probably say that, XXX Lex. So if I had to choose amongst those 3, I would say Herbert, and definitely appreciate the question, appreciate you tuning in. So I would say Herbert this week among those 3. So that's where I would go. Got some other questions that came in. Clamped as said, should I accept this trade? I'm getting Justin Fields for Dak Prescott. I had a feeling that, because I almost brought up Justin Fields versus Dak, and like numbers wise, because Dak is going to throw, right? He's got an arm, and not that Justin Fields can't throw the ball, but I expect Justin Fields to be more the dynamic running quarterback for you, and he definitely showed that out this past week, probably more than any other time in the NFL in his very young career. So I had a feeling that I was going to go here today, and Clamped, I appreciate the fact that you brought me here, because, that it's been on my mind this morning. And so I would say, should you accept this trade? Are you getting anything else, or are you just straight up? Because, I think right now I more like the upside of Chicago's offense, as crazy as that sounds, because I know I've been constructively criticizing their offense, but I think if they can keep running Justin Fields, it's going to bode really well for them. And they're playing Detroit this week. So, like this week in the here and now, I think that's good. Dallas is at Green Bay, and I'm a little concerned about that. Dallas, to me, I feel like is in a place right now where they're kind of in this limbo and they might be trending downward. So, Clamped, I would probably take Justin Fields at this point. Jacob said to me, Need a contingency plan if Allen is out. Best available are Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Ryan Tannehill. Well, Ryan Tannehill's hurt. So in my leagues, we have team quarterbacks. So in that case, you would be picking up the Titans quarterback and you'd get Malik Willis. So it'd be a nice insurance plan. That's why I have it in my leagues. If you want to join our fantasy leagues, we have national leagues, we have New York leagues, we have Florida leagues. Just shoot an email to dtstays@gmail.com. That's dtstays@gmail.com. I'm going to put that up here on the YouTube channel. So dtstays@gmail.com is the email if anyone is interested in joining our national fantasy leagues. And this is for next season. But you have to email as soon as possible because that'll fill up. So make sure you send me an email because those spots will fill up. We've already had some people come in on that. So if you want to join us in our national fantasy leagues for next year, you got to send an email over today. dtstays@gmail.com. So to get back to it, Jacob, let's see here. Need a contingency plan if Allen's out. Best available are Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, and Tannehill. So, like I said, team quarterback we have in our leagues for that purpose, that if Tannehill was out and you picked up Tannehill, you would get Malik Willis. You don't have that in this case, which is unfortunate. Daniel Jones, I would say Daniel Jones, man, this week because they're playing Houston. I mean, really, we look at the matchups. I don't like Jared Goff's matchup at Chicago, and Ryan Tannehill's hurt. So I think by process of elimination, Jacob, I would tell you to go for Daniel Jones if Josh Allen is out. So I'd say Daniel Jones by process of elimination. And for all of you that are on here that haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So getting into our 4 o'clock games, Indianapolis at the Vegas Raiders. Jonathan Taylor is questionable with an ankle injury right now. Deion Jackson, he had 36 yards on 13 touches recently here, but they're playing the Vegas Raiders, so Deion Jackson might be a good flex for you, somebody to pick up on the waiver wire or free agency this week, and you could put him out there and as a running back 3 or 4. I'm okay with that, probably as a 4. Not that it matters if the points are going to be the points, but if you can play 4 running backs, I'd probably have him as my 4th on my roster, but not bad because they're playing Vegas if Jonathan Taylor's not able to go. Michael Pittman, I do like him in this as well. And then for the Las Vegas Raiders on their side, I would say Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. But, the Raiders, wow, I thought this year they were going to have a lot of firepower. I thought it was going to, hey, if Derek Carr can't do it this year, then maybe he's not the quarterback of the future. But, right now, that's what it looks like. It looks like maybe the Raiders are going to be starting fresh after this season because it's just not working out. So, Devontae Adams, I mean, by the numbers wise, he's doing some good things. Just, it's not, his numbers look great against Jacksonville. Okay. 10 catches, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns. The 2 touchdowns thrown by Derek Carr, who went 21 of 36 for 259 yards. Not bad. Josh Jacobs, 17 carries for 67 yards, 3.9 yards a carry. Did not score, but he caught 3 balls as well for 20 yards. So he finished with 87 yards altogether and a bunch of catches. So Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams are definitely worth the play. Hunter Renfrow is a PPR help to you, but don't expect a ton of points right now. But this team overall hasn't been winning in reality, but in fantasy, I do like some of the things that are going up here. Triple X Lex said to me, pick up Mooney, Claypool, Pickens, Cooks, or Tony as a stash flex option. Okay. Well, Claypool is now a Bear. George Pickens, no. Cooks, no. I'd probably say Claypool, just because I've been thinking that, he might even be somebody that shows up this week. So I would say Claypool of that group to pick those up. A little bit at Kadarius Toney, but I'd say Claypool for now in this moment. So with that being said, we're going to now take a look at, so I would say the Raiders, Jacobs, Adams, and Derek Carr, not a bad bet if he's your backup this week behind Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson. And then I would say, on the other side, Michael Pittman and a flex to Deion Jackson if Jonathan Taylor is not able to go. The next one that we have coming up here, 4 o'clock, Dallas at Green Bay. We've talked about Dallas a bit here when I was giving my thoughts on. I just find it funny that these questions come up the way they do because I was thinking Dak versus Justin Fields, and then I got asked the question. So kind of funny, right? It was like meant to be that God was like, hey, you need to talk about that. So Dallas at Green Bay. Listen, Zeke has just not been great. Tony Pollard's been doing some good things. I'd play Tony Pollard in this game. CeeDee Lamb in the matchup as well. Dalton Schultz is back healthy, so that's a good thing for the Dallas Cowboys. So, looking at their win over the Bears, 49-29, overall by the numbers, I would say, obviously Tony Pollard's been going to work. I think he's going to take the job. I've said that numerous times, well before what he did this past week and these past few weeks. So I do like Schultz, CeeDee Lamb, and Tony Pollard in this matchup. And outside of that, it's hard to keep Dak and Aaron Rodgers off. I have Dak as a lower end one. I have Aaron Rodgers as a low end one, high end 2-ish. They had an awful game against Detroit and got a lot of injuries to wide receivers. So, I think if Aaron Jones is out with his ankle injury, just watch that. Then A.J. Dillon gets more value. And Alan Lazard has some value in this game as well, but I don't necessarily see this as a high-scoring game. I could get a stash backup running back instead. Well, Triple X Lex, let me know who you got for running backs that are out there, and I'll help you to the best of my ability if you want to send those over. But yeah, I like Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz in this game for sure. And it's not that I think Dak is terrible at all. I've never thought that. I just think Justin Fields is better fantasy value for you. And boy, did he show it this past. I thought he'd be running more, but running is going to help him. If he can be elusive and he can run and he can do what he's doing in the backfield, it's going to open up his passing game. So as long as his arm strength's there's going to be good, which is why I like him more than Dak at the moment. But Dak versus Aaron Rodgers, I don't feel great about saying that either one of these guys is your fantasy number one quarterback this week, and that's really sad to say because I didn't think we'd get to that point. So I kind of checked myself, really? That's what we're, but I see him as lower end ones this week. I don't see him as the high end guys. Next game that we have up is Arizona at the Rams. And Kyler Murray, another guy that could run around and create opportunities, right? But Arizona hasn't been looking that phenomenal lately. They just lost to the Seahawks 31-21. And looking at the game, though, Kyler Murray, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, only 175 yards passing. He did lead the team on the ground with James Conner back, 8 carries, 60 yards. Conner had 7 carries, 45 yards. Rondale Moore getting involved. Zach Ertz, DeAndre Hopkins, as soon as he's come back, has gotten involved. So for Arizona against the Rams, who are really not playing that well this year, I do like Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, Zach Ertz in the game. And I do like James Conner, but I have him as a lower end 2, high end 3 at running back currently at this moment. For the Los Angeles Rams side of things in this midday matchup on Sunday coming up this weekend, Sunday, November 13th, looking at their recent history here against the Bucs, they just looked awful again. And Matty Stafford, he didn't throw a pick, but only 13 of 27 and a touchdown. Darrell Henderson, 12 carries, 56 yards. Cam Akers, a non-factor, 5 carries, 3 yards, 0.6 yards a carry. Cooper Kupp got the only touchdown thrown by Matt Stafford, 127 yards, 9 targets, caught 8 of them. So that's good. The problem is they really don't have anybody else. Allen Robinson is a guy that I told you, Jacksonville had their best season without their number one receiver. They almost went to the Super Bowl the year that Allen Robinson tore his ACL. So, this is not a good situation at receiver. They should have been more advantageous in this case. And, Cooper Kupp was the guy that if you double teamed him, he still got the ball. But a guy can only do that maybe for so long. And, some teams are keying in on him and making some better plays against him. So, and not that Tampa's defense is bad by any stretch of the imagination. So give credit where credit's due. In this game, I would say Darrell Henderson Jr. as a running back 3, and you're going to play Cooper Kupp. But wow, this Rams receiving core is just not fun to watch besides that. And the Chargers at San Fran. So we're going to see the two LA teams both playing later on Sunday, which, to the Rams on the West Coast, they're going to actually be playing at 1:25, and to the Chargers, they're going to stay on the West Coast at San Fran, so they're only going to be playing at 5:20. So their games are going to be early for them, later for us, and the on the East Coast here. So for the Chargers at San Fran done some good things this year, and definitely like it and respect it. So, Justin Herbert, I think he's worth the play. I obviously just gave that advice recently when I was asked about three guys in a situation. So I think Herbert is worth the play for you. It's just the issue of keeping his receivers healthy, right? They gutted it out at Atlanta, 20-17. Not an easy thing to do, but Austin Eckler's worth the play. Justin Herbert's worth the play, and Josh Palmer got over 100 yards, right? Just needed the other two guys to get out of his way. So 8 catches, 10 targets, 106 yards. And this week, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams still hurt. So Keenan still got that hamstring, which was a cut and paste from years ago when I drafted him, and he had that happen to him, unfortunately, which I'm not happy about. I hope he gets well and stays well. And in the case of Mike Williams, Mike is out. So he's expected to return from an ankle injury in week 12. So that's just really sad to see on his side of things. So ultimately, in this game, I would say Josh Palmer is worth a play for you. I'd have him as a flex, and you got to play Austin Eckler. Justin Herbert, I downgrade him a little bit here as a lower end one just because of all those injuries to the wide receivers. For San Fran, Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy, right? He's the guy until he's not the guy, and San Fran hasn't shipped him away, and what has he done? He just keeps winning for you. He beat the Rams. He beat the defending national champion Super Bowl Rams. Granted, they don't have Von Miller and some of the other guys, but he defeated the Rams twice this season. So they have the tiebreaker. They beat them 24-9 at home and 31-14 on the road. So shout out to Jimmy G for doing that. 2 touchdowns, no picks against the Rams, 31-14 in their most recent game, 21-25, 235 yards. Man goes to work. Christian McCaffrey continues to scoring on the ground and in receiving the ball. Brandon Ayuk's game opens up with the help of Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle, more quiet, but in this game against the Chargers, I would say definitely got to play Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, and then George Kittle, I have him as, there's worse you could do at tight end, but I have him as a lower end one, high end too. With that being said, we're going to take our last step aside of the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. When I come back, we will bring you Monday Night Football and wrap things up here from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. This is the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Head out there 7 days a week for indoor dining. And, of course, you can find them also for takeout and delivery by simply calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. So we appreciate it. We thank you for being here with us, and we'll be back with Monday Night Football right after this fast break from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. And we are in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly powered by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. NFL Week 10 for 2022-23. Jacob saying Bills line down from -7.5 to -4. Got me thinking Vegas knows something we don't. Jacob, Allen is only questionable. That's it's not that he's out. And I think that obviously plays a factor. I would be surprised if Allen you monitor it, but, I would imagine a guy like him and a competitor like him coming off of a loss like they did, he's going to want to play. So just watch that. For the Washington Monday Night Football, our final game to have here in Week 10 of the NFL, and our fantasy football advice, Washington at Philadelphia. The Washington Commanders, a team that's 4-5, not bad, right, for having a million quarterbacks themselves and trying to figure things out. Taylor, get your hands off my Heineke. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 15 for 28, 149 yards passing in the last game. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, they're both getting a bunch of carries. They're not getting a bunch of yards. Curtis Samuel scored. Terry McLaurin had 56 yards. It's been kind of quiet. I like Terry McLaurin in this one. Brian Robinson Jr. and Antonio Gibson. If you need somebody on Monday night as a lower flex and you're just flexing somebody out, you got a bunch of injuries, you're looking to pick somebody up on the waiver wire free agency, and it's an emergency situation, put them out as a flex. Beyond that, I see the value in Terry McLaurin and nobody else on Washington currently. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Let's call it a day. So, Philadelphia, a lot easier one to give you that fantasy advice on. So, if you have any thoughts in the meantime, subscribe to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And, of course, you can also send me direct messages on my social media if you have a fantasy football question we didn't get to here in this broadcast by going to Facebook and following us at Wake Up Call DT. Follow us at Twitter at Call DT and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. With that being said, thank you for being with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, as well as WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. Subscribe and bookmark our website and save it for yourself. And, of course, on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT. Once the shows go live, you can find us in the archive on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big thanks to our incredible partners, Cafe Cubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicerone, Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Honda City of Liverpool, and we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. You can check out the Dolphins every Wednesday at 9 a.m. to start off the show, like today, during Dolphin time, every first and third Wednesday, AD and DT, every second and fourth Wednesday, Dolphin Dive. And make sure you check out all of our content with the Dolphins by simply going to our Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, bookmarking and saving that, and subscribing to us on YouTube.com /wakeupcalldt. You can be sure if it's something exclusive coming out from the Dolphins, big news, especially realignment and reclassification, and our Spotlight series with the Dolphin Dive, student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins and alumni, and if it's with Athletics Director Bob Beretta, as we have our specials with AD and DT, it's all coming through Wake Up Call in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. For more information on your Dolphins, go to their newly redesigned website at LeMoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse Bobcats. We just did exclusives last night. I was with them all the way up and past midnight last night as the buses got ready to go. And I believe during the show this morning, they pulled into Virginia Beach, Virginia, God willing. They are there. I know they were about an hour away when I spoke with them this morning. The exclusive outside of the bus conversations as Alex Grigorita and the women's soccer team, Nick Dimitrievsky and the men's soccer team both got on the buses with their respective teams to vie for the opportunity at a national championship. Alex Grigorita and Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse for the women's soccer side of things is looking for a back-to-back national championship. Nick Dimitrievsky and the men's soccer team at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse is looking to become back-to-back-to-back champions, winning in 2019, 2021, trying to do it again here in 2022 after there was not a season due to COVID in 2020. So, big ups to Alex Grigorita and the women's soccer team at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Big ups to Nick Dimitrievsky and the men's soccer team at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Those exclusives outside of the bus, where I was the only one there to send them off to their Virginia Beach, Virginia sports complex opportunity at a national championship this week when they get in action later on this week. And the championship Sunday will be coming up if and when those teams are to advance this Sunday, November 13th. So I got to send them off, be the exclusive there for that. You can watch those videos on Facebook.com /WakeUpCallDT. For all of our Bobcat content, go to the BSC Syracuse tab on WakeUpCallDT.com. Bookmark it, save it, and love it. And of course, go to YouTube.com /WakeUpCallDT for all of our Bobcat coverage. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With all of that being said, I hope you have a tremendous rest of your day today. I hope all goes well for you. I hope the things that aren't great get better, and the things that are great stay great. And I hope that you keep God first. Thanks to Bob Beretta, my guest today. To start off the show, for the first time ever, Michelle Montaigne, sports anchor and reporter for ABC 8 in Tulsa, and an MLS Next Pro reporter as well. Loved having her on the show today. Look forward to doing it again. And, of course, for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub and the tremendous team led by Danny Tilm on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Have a fantastic day. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. God bless, no stress, do your best. We will talk soon, and get out to Witty Wicks so that you got the house smelling all types of fresh for the holiday season. I'll talk with you soon. Be safe, stay well, and I'm going to say it one more time because why not? God bless.